to make a disconcertingly lateral move here. How can we publicly challenge the more dangerous tenets of Islam without further inspiring bigotry against Muslims? Now, you and I have both, unlike many scientists, we've sounded off on this. It's been, for as long as I've been an atheist, it's been deeply unfashionable amongst atheists, even atheists who think it's a legitimate project to criticize religion. It's been unfashionable to criticize any one religion more than any other.
Yes.
And I noticed,
especially one any more than any.
Yes. Yeah, you can go to town on Mormonism or Scientology, but it's
or Christianity, actually. I mean,
yeah. Well, but the default assumption is that if you're against religion, or if you think that the evidentiary claims upon which all these revealed religions are founded are unjustifiable, well, then they all go out. They're all on all fours together, and you don't really need to weight your concern. But it just has seemed obvious, at least since September 11th, 2001, that one of these religions is producing more than its fair share of conflict and oppression. So back to the question, how do you, given that you and I both think it's legitimate to focus on the most harmful instances of religion as we see it, how do you avoid energizing those voices who are actually animated by bigotry and xenophobia?
Yes. Well, I think we both have this problem. I suppose, I mean, I listened to one of your podcasts about Islam and arguing against the point of view which says that the terrorists which we all know about in the Middle East are not motivated by religion. That they're motivated by anything but religion. There's a kind of desperate desire to blame anything but religion for what is going on.
This was the podcast where that issue of ISIS's magazine, Dawkins, where they just spelled out that they were as fed up with this as I was, and they just wrote all of their reasons for killing infidels. It was amazing. I felt like I was in a lucid dream.
It's true. I do listen to it. What's it called, Sam?
I forgot what it's called, but you'll find it. It's sometime in the last 10 podcasts.
No, I think what. Sorry.
Oh.
Right. All right. What jihadists really think, and it's why we hate you and why we fight you.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely. I mean, Sam could have written the script. It's just completely. We hate you because you're not Muslim. Yeah. It amounts to nothing more than that.
Yeah.
And we fight you for the same reason.
But what do you do? Actually, I had a podcast that I just released today where I was interviewing our mutual friend Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and I asked her a related question. Yeah, thank you. This is the true feminist hero who was just declared an anti-Muslim extremist by the Southern Poverty Law Center. That's absolutely unbelievable. But so I asked her,
and has been disinvited by at least several campuses in this country, including Brandeis.
So I asked her, get more to the point of conspiracy thinking on the right. So it's often, it's simply a fact that Islamists and jihadists are scheming to spread their views, and both by the sword and otherwise, throughout open societies, and they're using the norms and institutions of our open societies against ourselves, and in a very cynical and calculated way. And it's not even a conspiracy, as Ayaan pointed out. It's just there in the open. This is an agenda that Islamists have.
They're totally open about it, totally honest about it.
Yeah, but the issue is you can take this, one's concern about this in truly paranoid direction. So I hear from people who think Ayan is a stealth Islamist or jihadist. I hear from people who think that Majid, who I wrote Islam and the Future of Tolerance with, is a stealth Islamist and jihadist. And so there's no obvious signage on the way to complete insanity that, where you're told that you are now too fearful and too concerned about things that actually are contiguous with real reasons for concern. So, but I asked Ayan, so where's the boundary here? How do we differentiate a reasonable fear about genuinely scheming people and right-wing paranoia in this case? And she just said, facts. Just one word. It's like you're either talking about facts or you're not. And when you're talking about facts, you can't go wrong in this space. And I thought that was a great answer.
I think one point to make is that the main victims of these awful people are actually Muslims themselves.
Yeah.
But what about the attack from the left, which in liberal left circles in America and Britain, where Islam gets a free pass on all sorts of terrible things like misogyny, which no liberal would actually sanction, and yet if a Muslim behaves in horrifically misogynistic ways, somehow that's ignored, as though that's somehow legitimate. Oh, it's part of their culture, so they're allowed to do that. I must say, I despise that kind of thing.
Well, there was some. I think it was an anthropologist whose quote this I'm about to butcher, but it's a great point. He said, when one person grabs a little girl and cuts off her clitoris with a septic blade, he is a dangerous lunatic. When 1 million people do this, it's a culture, and we need to respect it. And that's the little crystal of moral confusion that's just at the center of the liberal worldview that we need to fully crush.
I dare to suggest that there's too much respect in the world.